everyone, and welcome to Behind the Nail Pros for the October issue. Today we have Amy Becker here with us. She is not only a very talented nail artist, but she also happens to be the 2011 NAILPRO Cup champion. Thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
For the theme of the nails, we sort of gave you a bunch of different topics and you kind of ran with it. Part of it was polka dots, though. They were really big and a lot of runways for the fall season, and so I gave you polka dots. And you came up with these. Tell us how you started and how you sort of came up with the idea.
So for the nails, I love to work entirely with gel, and I'm using a new product that is a gel paint. It's not a gel polish, so it works like an acrylic or an oil paint. And I'm able to paint with it with a paintbrush as well as sculpt 3D out of it. And it's the same product that I've used in competition in 3D art. So I started with a gel base and I incorporated a couple different glitter colors in there to make the design pop, and then added the 3D art elements that I created with the gel paint.
The free edge of these nails are a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. Usually there's a round, oval, square shape, but these are freestyle free edge. How did you come up with this concept and how do you do that?
Well, I wanted a little bit of a softer look to it, so I used a detail brush with clear gel directly on the form and brought the design up to the nail that I also had applied a very thin layer of gel to protect the model's nails with. And then it just kind of takes off from there. Just keep adding, keep building. But I did not want a traditional because it was just a very artistic nail, not a wearable nail.
Right, and so in between the coats of gel that you add to keep building it, you're curing in between.
Absolutely, yes.
How did you design the 3D elements that you put on top of the nail?
I started by sculpting the gel on the paper that the forms came off of, cured them in the light, took them off, and then used a little bit more gel to secure it to the nail. I also incorporated some crystals on there too.
When you're creating the swirls on the free edge, it must take a lot of patience. Do you have any tips for people who want to recreate this style?
Sure. The swirls that are created on the free edge need to be done one swirl at a time and then flash cured before moving on to the next one, because the gel will level and it'll move a little bit. So you want to set it in place before you move on to the next clear swish. But once you get to the gel paints, then you can do all your colors before you put it in the light.
Do you have a pattern in mind ahead of time when you're creating this, or do you just go by what looks good?
Well, I always try to think of a pattern, and then when I try it, most of the time I don't like how it comes out. So then I end up having to embellish on it or change it altogether, because when I first tried the design for these nails, I didn't like it at all. So it worked better for me just to go with it piece by piece and just lay everything down until the nail looked balanced.
I noticed you finished with another clear coat of gel. Why did you do that?
After I sculpted the design with the traditional gel that had a residual layer, the design was too delicate to wipe off. So I decided to use a tackless sealant over the top of it before I started applying the 3D elements.
The nails turned out so great, so thank you so much for taking our idea and making something even better out of it. Now, you're also the NAILPRO Cup champion, so what does this mean for you next?
I decided to try for the championship for our product line and to get the word out, and my competing has always been about education and improving products, improving technique, making it easier to teach, making it easier to learn. And to stop competing without having somebody in my place to do it might be a little challenging. So I will probably keep competing, but we do have a lot of very talented educators working for us that are considering competing, and I can't wait for the day that they have their own title. And at that point, I plan on completely retiring, because what I love doing is I do love helping others, and I can do that very well through judging and critiquing and giving back.
How has competing changed you as a nail tech?
Oh my gosh, it's sharpened my skills. It definitely has made my work better in the salon, but it constantly challenges me. I'm one that always has to work on something new, and I have to grow, because if I'm stagnant, I'll move on. So that's one of the biggest things that the competition arena has given me.
Well, thank you once again for coming out here, and congratulations. I know that I'm very excited to see where your career goes from here.
Thanks, Stephanie.